Okay, we're live.
We're only 3 minutes late, actually. We had a bit of a... You want to vent a little, babe?
The perfectionist in me, certain things weren't working. The overlays are not working. So, you know, the little pop-ups I get to work, when you got questions, I can make them come live and everyone can see them. They're not working and it's stressing me out. So much so that I didn't even set up the camera and I thought we were going to be a bit late. But anyway,
Yeah. But
you can start this one. I'm a little bit annoyed. Why do I get annoyed by the smallest things?
Welcome to my world. Normally, you're calm and I get annoyed easily. But
I think it's things that I'm good at or should be working that are in my wheelhouse that just don't work and they should be working just really bugs me because my world should be controlled. I've already dealt with this. Why is it not now working for no reason? Anyway, why are we talking about this, babe?
well,
Why are we talking about this horse
online
shit
infidelity.
up here?
Actually, because a while ago we did a video about called "Why Are You So Emotional," and there was a point in the stream where we talked about a statistic, which was like 50% of white married men are on OnlyFans.
In the US, yep.
Yeah, and
Half the population, yeah.
yeah, and when you told me, I kind of responded to that like, oh, that's so interesting. Like I was kind of baffled by that number because it's a really big number.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just kind of wondering how that could be the case and what that meant for marriages and that kind of thing. We were just kind of like talking about that topic.
Yeah.
And we got a response to that I found very interesting. And I thought it would be just fun to discuss that.
Because when we talked about it a couple of streams ago, it wasn't the focus of the channel. It was just like a side thing. We just talked about it for like 5 or 10 minutes or something. It was just like an interesting point. But the point of the stream was a different topic. But from that, we got some responses. And it's the cliche, really, isn't it? Of if your man's looking at naked pictures online, he's cheating on you.
Yeah.
Or in public, if he notices a beautiful woman, he's cheating on you. Or if he thinks about something,
Yeah.
It's kind of from that point of view where almost anything is cheating.
Do you want to go into that a little bit first before we discuss the comments? Or
Yeah. Like, what are your thoughts on?
yeah, like what is actually cheating?
For me, it's if you act on it.
So physically.
Well, there's also kind of flirting. Like if you're wanting to catch up with a work colleague, a male work colleague on your own and have coffees and stuff and go out with him and stuff. That's flirting. I guess there's context. People want a black and white answer. But I think the definite line is when you cross the line, when you start touching them and going out with them and wanting to spend time alone with them, away from your partner.
Yeah.
But again, it depends on you and your partner. You got couples that have open relationships where they don't care, and you got very conservative couples where anything, even like you looking at someone else, is blasphemy and it's ground for divorce.
I think basically there's things that are like more objective. Like if you actually physically cheat, then obviously most people would agree that that's cheating. I also think that if you're like very obviously flirting with someone, then you're being inappropriate, of course. You could see that as like a form of cheating, I guess. But when it's just about like looking at stuff, then I think it becomes very subjective, where it depends on who you ask. You know, people will have different opinions about that. And I think it also depends on your relationship and on whether you discuss those things with each other and whether you're okay with it, you know, because I can imagine a woman having a big problem with her man looking at like hot girls on Instagram or stuff like that, or following them. But I can also imagine women like me who don't have a problem with that at all, you know. So I think it's very subjective when it comes to looking at stuff. Then it kind of depends on who it is and on their relationship. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah. Bottom line is you've got to talk to your partner. If you promise something, then break your promise. That's That's cheating. That's a breaking of a vow. That's, betraying your partner. But if you're always talking and from the get-go, you get with someone's like, well, I think even looking at a girl is cheating, I'll be like, well, I can't be with you. I can't even objectively react to something beautiful or, wow, she's hot. And I have to kind of keep it to myself and walk on eggshells and not acknowledge what I find beautiful or attractive or whatever. Now, it's different if I go like, yeah, I want to just bang whoever I want and there's no security in our relationship. You can't trust me with anything. That's different. But again, it's your choice if you want to stay with someone like that. My point is, as long as you talk very openly and you give your honest opinions and you're always talking and communicating, you're open with your partner and you know what the rules are. You know what cheating is and you know what not cheating is.
Yeah, but you are right. Like, you do need to discuss that with each other because everyone has different opinions about that. Some people are okay with it and some people really aren't. Like, for example, religious people probably wouldn't be okay with that. But people that are more open-minded and feel like secure in their relationship, they probably will be fine with it. So, yeah.
And I think there's some people, some personalities, people who like drama and actually a lot of mean people that use any excuse. They love shaming other people. So if they find you looking at something or find that you visited a certain website, they'll try and shame you and make you feel awful about it. Some people just like that drama and like shaming and like fighting in relationships. Like, oh my God, I can't believe you did this.
Yeah. I think it's also probably a lot about how women feel about themselves.
Yeah.
I also think, of course, there's some women just think it's really not proper and it's just like flat out wrong and you shouldn't do that and stuff. But I also think there are probably a lot of women that it's really about how they feel about themselves. Like, if they feel kind of insecure about themselves in some way and they see their man being on, like, are we going to say corn?
Yeah, dirty websites.
Yeah, they're dirty websites. Then she probably won't like it because she'll feel, if she feels insecure about herself. But if she feels good about herself, she's got a good relationship, she feels secure, then she probably won't really have a problem with it if it's just something that he does recreationally every once in a while, something like that.
Yeah, for me, if you haven't broken a promise and you just react that way, it's more about you. It's not about what they did.
Yeah, sometimes. I do think there are also people who just think it's like wrong, and no matter how they feel about it, probably. But yeah, it is subjective.
Yeah, but bottom line, I think if you talk with your partner about everything, your fears, your desires, your perversions, your likes, your dislikes, there's very little that's going to surprise your partner. Like if you walked in me looking at the most weird stuff online, like the worst, dirty, perverted stuff, you would laugh. You would, oh, babe, what are you looking at? Oh, my God. And it would either be a joke or you would find it interesting or a turn on or whatever. But I think couples that don't talk and they have that reaction, couples that just look to fight, like, oh my God, I can't believe you ordered the chicken again. Give that to, like, they're just wanting to fight all the time. And when they discover their partners looking at something online like that, that's just like an easy atomic bomb that they can drop into an argument,
Yeah. I think it's kind of tricky for men because it kind of depends on the woman. And some women just aren't okay with that and respond like in a jealous way or they get angry. And other women can kind of understand it and that it has nothing to do with them and that it's just like a fun recreational thing that they like to do sometimes. And they'll be more cool with it. But it kind of depends on what kind of woman you have, I guess.
And it's also if you know that you've got a really bad love life, right? You never sleep together, you don't want to, and your partner's looking at that stuff. And it's like, well, that kind of makes sense. Like, what, you don't want to do it. He doesn't have it in his life. So again, you've got to know your partner. You've got to be talking. You've got to not feel like you have to hide it from your partner. That's an important thing. Like if I have to secretly hide it from you all the time, but if you discovered and walked in on me, or if I tell you, it's not embarrassing. It might be awkward to talk about, but it's not anything I want to actively hide from you or keep a secret from you.
Yeah, but See, that's a good point because you should be able to talk about that stuff in your relationship, and it shouldn't be something that's awkward to talk about.
Yeah.
Like first, you should just be able to talk about that stuff with your partner in the beginning of the relationship if that's something you like to do. How do you feel about that?
Well, think about people who their partners are just hard work. You see them when you're out with them at a cafe and you see they don't get along. They almost aggravate each other. And you can imagine a guy who's just, I just want to enjoy watching some dirty shit online. I just want to have fun, you know? And you know what? I don't want to have an argument about this as well. How much else in my life are you going to complain about? I'm going to hide it from you because I just can't be bothered. It's got nothing to do with you. It's me finding a little bit of peace without you. Like, get out of my face. Like, I can't talk to you about anything, let alone this. What, are you going to take this away from me as well? What else? Like, I can't watch Rambo. I can't watch football. I can't, like, they complain about everything if you're with the wrong person. And so some guys are like, you know, fuck, I'm going to keep some stuff to myself. You're not going to poison every little thing that I want to do that's got nothing to do with you. But that's them being with the wrong kind of person. That
Yeah, I was just gonna say. Then you're just with the wrong person.
You argue about the toast. So of course, like, yeah, we're for sure going to be arguing about this website or this picture that I looked at. Like if we argue about how I left my cup on the table, it's like guarantee. I don't even have to think about it. We're going to argue about that.
Yeah, but that's just something you need to discuss with your partner.
Yeah.
Like, just be honest about that, I would say.
But it's very common, though, that people say that if your partner looks at other women, if your partner looks at women online or looks at dirty things online, it's cheating. Or even if he has, you know, fantasies. You know, you hear some people, oh, do you ever, what are your fantasies? And the person tells him, the other person looks shocked.
Yeah, first of all, I think that is, again, subjective. But secondly, that strikes to me like that's mostly just like jealousy, I think. When women are like, you can't even look at other women, or they get offended or whatever.
Insecurity, I think more than jealousy.
Yeah, but they go together, I think. She's insecure, and so she gets jealous.
Yeah, as though it's a real person, you know.
Yeah.
Well, again, it comes down to a person who can face their own insecurities, knows what they are, and can tell the difference between reality and fake. We've got fictional stories out there that write about really forbidden subjects, but we know they're fictional. We allow them to be fictional books, but we don't allow them to be real. We don't have to go into them, but, you know, like the P word.
Sorry, I was...
thinking about something else?
Yeah, just for a second.
Well, the irrational mind can distinguish between fantasy and reality.
Right.
So you can write a story about a serial killer. Doesn't mean you're a serial killer. But someone who's insecure, like a husband and wife who don't really know each other, they always fight, they can never be on the same page and they're not compatible. He writes a story about a serial killer. She's like, oh my God, who have I married?
Oh, right.
You're a serial killer. If you can write that kind of story, you think like a serial. And it's kind of got to do with your incompatibility, your inability to see fantasy compared to reality. He's not out there killing people. He's writing a story. He's letting his imagination go wild. So you can't do anything about willful stupidity and ignorance and insecurity that people don't want to face. The online world is full of experts that act tough, but they haven't faced their own childhood trauma, let alone, you know, bitching and complaining wives and husbands who don't belong together.
Yeah, I think it's kind of tricky because it's kind of, you just need to make sure you have the right partner if that's something you want to do.
Could you see yourself getting shocked or offended and really emotionally like feeling bad about discovering me looking at images or videos or writing stories or having fantasies about certain things?
No. I like that because I'm messed up myself.
Yeah, we both are very creative and warped.
Yeah, like I've written books about serial killers and all kinds of weird shit.
Yeah.
So, no.
Yeah, I think it's got to do with like really understanding and knowing your partner. And these people that they get so fragile, like you looked and appreciated beauty. Oh my God.
But it's also about how you feel about yourself. And that's why I said that, because years ago with one of my exes, I remember he used to sometimes watch sexy videos, recreationally sometimes. And I wanted to be okay with it because I don't have a problem with that, because I understand that that's got nothing to do with me. And that's just something like biological. That's nice for men. They like to do that sometimes, right? But in that period, I was having a lot of trouble with eating. And I had gained a bunch of weight and I was feeling very shitty about myself. And so I didn't really like it that he was doing that, because it was making me feel super insecure about myself, because obviously those women are all like super hot and beautiful. And so I discussed that with him. But that was the reason, my insecurity. It wasn't about the fact that he was watching that stuff. That I understand. That's fine, you know? Like, everyone does that sometimes.
Yeah, but it's hard when you feel a certain way and you know like we've had like recently discussions where you understand the rationale behind my point of view, but you just can't help how you feel about something.
Yeah, but just to finish that point, so I think that that might be why a lot of women have a problem with that, but it's because of their own insecurities and because they get jealous. I think it's maybe not even necessarily about the act or like what they're doing, because I think most women understand that it's just something that's fun to do or to watch, you know? So I think that has a lot to do with it, insecurities for women.
Yeah, they can objectively see, well, I'm not that person, so you like me less, you want me less, I'm not as beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's obviously always a very big deal for women.
Well, there's that joke. There's very few gorgeous, hot feminists. You know, the ones that look like Victoria's Secret models, they don't really care about feminism. You know, so it's kind of like, if you're hot and beautiful, you don't care about the politics. You know, you know you're attractive, but then if you're less attractive or if you're older, like there's a lot of these older, say, celebrities that when they were younger, they slept with movie producers to get roles in movies. And now when they're older, now they're coming out against sleeping with movie producers. It's because you're not there anymore. There's a bit of, you wish you were young again, or you did it.
That is really a thing where I feel like women, they lash out when they're insecure or they're jealous. They lash out a lot.
Yeah. And they can justify it by logical reasons, like, oh, well, that's wrong and that's morally. And it's kind of like this subject of older men going out with younger women. And they're like, yeah, technically not illegal, but it's cringe. Ugh. You should be disgusted. Why?
Well, we can get into the comment, because I'm warm. I thought it was going to be cold today.
Isn't today going to be 27?
It was 21. No, like 21.
Well, in here it gets kind of warm.
Yeah.
No, you're getting heated.
Already? I'm still pretty calm, aren't I?
All right. Now, we want to preface this by saying we thought this was an interesting topic, so we're not putting this person's comment up to put them on blast or anything, but it's a common point of view that people think that if a guy looks at something online, dirty stuff online, he's a degenerate.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And again, if you're that conservative, be with a conservative person. You don't have to, it's almost like, I want all men to be decent. Well, I'm sorry, not everyone's different. Go find someone who's as conservative as you, or who's got exactly the right morals. But people who do something different, as long as they're not in your face, like, don't get in everyone else's face telling people that they can or can't watch something, or don't tell me what my fetishes are.
Yeah, like, that's also subjective, because, like, conservative people, religious people, they would probably think those people are, like, not decent people who watch that kind of stuff. But, like, normal people are just like, everyone does that every once in a while. What do you mean? Yeah,
but everyone's got their own kinks and perversions. And most people, when they go online and watch extreme stuff that's not part of their real life, they're just kind of fantasizing, and it's a kink. Most people wouldn't want to have a real life relationship with that thing, that perversion online that they watch. It's like a fantasy. You know, I'm pretty sure even people that are into watching, people in rubber masks and gas masks, and it's just the body, and it's just extreme BDSM. No one wants to have a relationship with that, even if you're into it. It's a kink. And then you've got the person you go out with. Then you've got your real life. Then you've got your groceries and taxes and sleeping and eating and going to coffee shops and watching a movie. But that is a fetish.
It's also kind of weird that people make such a big deal out of watching that kind of stuff. While if you look at some of the thrillers and horror movies that are out there, you might also say like, oh, well, that's going to make people do shit. Like that's almost worse.
That's trying to lower every standard to a child so everyone behaves. It's making everyone childish. I would prefer that there's less censorship. Obviously, like above the legal, adult and legal age, right? When you're an adult, you should be able to speak and do whatever you want. You're responsible for your own life as long as you don't impose yourself on other people, right? If, what's the saying? Consenting adults. Thought, mind, body, relationships, if it's two consenting adults, not manipulating and lying to each other, let people do what they want.
What's your Instagram handle?
My human Instagram handle. I think it's on my YouTube page. Go into the About section, and there's a link there under the About section. It links to my YouTube channel. My Instagram page. Although I usually just post there telling you about the videos that are coming up anyway. All right, so should we? And let us know in the comments if you're watching this stream live with us now as we're presenting. Let us know your thoughts on this about, have you been with someone, because I certainly have, girls who are very insecure, and unless your eyes' attention is on them 100% and you don't have any fantasies beyond her, like everything has to be obsessed with her, and you can't have any appreciation for beauty or be turned on by anything. They're like a goddess that makes you look, oh, you're everything. And that is got to do with her insecurity. She wants to be everything, and she's so insecure about you leaving, or she doesn't think she's good enough. And it's not about you. If you cheat, you cheat. But cheating isn't looking or thinking or imagining to me. So, should we read? You want to read the comment?
Yeah.
All right. The comment was by...
Vickers fan.
Yeah.
Who often leaves comments, sometimes nice ones, sometimes not so nice ones. But we appreciate the comment. She started commenting on my channel early on. She was like positive, then negative. She's kind of like a bit of a roller coaster. I don't get her. And I just kind of let her say her piece as long as she doesn't do anything. Well, so let's just get into it.
Okay.
If you are a married man that looks at 18-year-old girls on OnlyFans, you probably should not have been married. You should be in jail for the P word. So, obviously, I have a big problem with that first statement. Because it's something that you hear a lot. You have been hearing a lot on YouTube, especially on those Red Pill podcasts and stuff, where women kind of attack men for looking at younger girls or liking younger girls. I understand that it can sometimes look a bit weird for men that are a bit older to, date younger girls or whatever. But I think it is important to admit that like 18 is legal. And if you're talking about the P word, that's something else. That's not this. That's about underage people. So
it's bitter because on the one hand, you'll get women saying, well, she should be able to do whatever she wants. Okay. She wants to go for a married, like an older guy. So what is she? You're telling her not to do what she wants? Yeah, but he should make himself available. He should know better. So she can go with him. She's got every right to go out with an older guy, but you don't want her to. That's because you can't. You're not young.
Yeah, I think the problem here is just that women don't like it.
Yeah.
They don't like it. It gives them the ick factor, which sometimes is understandable. If you see a very old man with like an 18-year-old girl, I get that. But that's what it is. It's not if older men are actually with underage girls, that's something different. That's not what this is. So
when you've seen that photo of that like really overweight billionaire, they're at the beach and there's that young girl and they've got a lot of memes like this is the picture you show your son and your daughter or something to get them not to turn, go in a wrong path in life. It's like, I look at like a really old sleazy billionaire with a young girl, but I see them both as degenerates. Like, she's just a gold digger who wants money, and and so is he. Like, they both want to do it. Let them.
Yeah, it's like, it's their business what they do.
Yeah.
But I just want to make the distinction that people that say this kind of stuff, it's just that you don't like it.
Yep.
And you can have your opinion about it, and that's fine. I can even understand that it can look very weird, or that there can be manipulation, there can be gold digging there. It could not be a legit relationship. You can have all of that stuff going on. But that's different from the P word. Like, that's very different. Just because you don't like it, I don't like people just throwing that word around so easily. Because it's like if I see a picture of a beautiful model or an actress, and then I find out that she's like 18, as you said, like, am I now what you're saying?
Yeah, I know.
Like, it's crazy.
Just a way to shame people, to win the argument and stop and like, yeah, I was right. See, I shamed him. They feel awkward, and I won the argument.
Yeah, it's just a shaming tactic. It's just because people don't like it, women don't like it. Again, I think a lot of that comes from jealousy and insecurity.
Well, look at the language. He should be in jail for the P word. And then right after that, it's sad. Like, it's all this sad. You're just sad. You should be in jail. That's this. It's P word.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Just you make a value judgment on who I am and what I am without me defending myself or telling you why I like something and there's nothing wrong with it. If she's 18 and she's doing OnlyFans, that's fine. But me being a customer, that she's allowed to do that and do whatever she wants, like, why don't you put a ban on those girls accepting anyone over the age of 25?
Yeah, but it's also like, if you have very beautiful young women that are putting themselves naked online, how are you gonna expect men not to be attracted to that?
Yeah.
It's like what I said yesterday, is like ignoring that the sky is blue.
You know what it's like?
Of course men are going to be attracted to it.
It's like she's doing it, and then men are flocking to what she's offering, right? It's kind of like blaming the drug user on the street, but you ignore the drug dealer. The Colombian drug lord. Like, oh no, like, you don't worry about him, he's a businessman. But all these degenerates who buy drugs off him, what about her? If she's adult enough and she's like, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur with a cam in my room. Like, what, you're going to limit who you can get money off? I'm pretty sure she likes the fact that she gets money off anyone, including like an old 80-year-old sleazebag.
Yeah, of course. But I think what I always find confusing about this is that you're saying that you don't like something, but it's something that's just true. It's just like, men are just going to be attracted to beautiful young women. That's just like biology. And you don't like it, and then you throw the P word around. But it's just like, why can't you just say that you don't like it and keep it at that? That's what it is.
Yeah, I agree, Boffin. I'm just trying to be diplomatic here. Look, from the messages that VK friend said, it's like, she's got her own problems in her life. She's got her own challenges and stuff. I get it. I don't want to make fun of anybody or anything, but I just kind of ignore, because she's like so up and down. Like, she's got so many different points of view depending on her mood and the day, and I don't know.
Yeah, and then, so that was the first part. And then the next part I found actually very interesting, and that's why I wanted to do this stream. So she says, it's sad that Stephanie blames the marriage and potentially the wife for men's bad behavior. If a man isn't happy in marriage, he can end the relationship instead of engaging in the P word tendencies. All it says is how many men have mental problems and how low their values and morals are to be engaged in things like this.
Projection, mental problem. Anyway,
I will never accept the notion that women are responsible for men's bad behavior. We aren't responsible for someone else's actions. All right, so a lot to unpack here. So first of all, I wasn't blaming the marriage or the wife for men's bad behavior. Well, what I was doing when I said that, when I heard that statistic, I was more just wondering what that means for those marriages, you know? And like, we don't know. I think it would have to be, it's different on an individual basis. Like some marriages could be completely fine while men watch certain stuff. I believe that, like that would be completely fine with us, for example. In other marriages, it isn't. So I think that's kind of like on an individual basis.
Yeah, you don't know what it's like. It could be a guy who thinks everything in his marriage is fine, and then she finds out he looks at something, and then she just flips, and he's like, where the hell did this come from? Like, he doesn't know. It could be that he's hiding it because he knows she's going to be upset. It could be that they never have any fun in the bedroom anymore, and it's cold, and this is the only joy. He can only fantasize about it, and that's his little pleasure, and it's kind of sad that he has to do it. But not sad like she's saying. She's trying to shame men. I find it sad that some men only have that outlet, and they're with a woman that doesn't understand them.
Yeah, but like, I wasn't blaming everyone. I was just like questioning what's going on. And I wish they would have added that statistic of like, okay, if it is like 50% of men who are on those sites, what can you tell us about those marriages? Like, what percentage of those marriages are like good? Which ones are bad? Like, you know, that would be more interesting to see as well, because we don't know what's going on in those marriages. Yeah,
that's kind of hard. They like to blanket things. I think sometimes to make a shocking statistic. For instance, when they say 50% of marriages end in divorce, we assume that the other 50% are blissfully happy. They're not. You know, there's a huge range in the 50% of people that are married that are just kind of cheaper to keeper, tolerating, like they're just used to it. They're not happy. They wish they never married them, but they got kids or whatever. There's a small percentage that are actually happy with their partner. They consider their partner a friend. So there are variations, but they don't go into it. They just pick the stats that serve the headline that they want to make.
If a man isn't happy in marriage, he can end the relationship instead of engaging in those types of tendencies. Well, yeah, so we've already established that they aren't those types of tendencies. That is not what it is. Yeah, you need to call it what it actually is.
Yeah, if they're actually looking at illegal stuff.
If it is what you actually, if it is actually that's a whole different story. But that's not what it is. Just looking at like women online, that's not what that is. All it says is how many men have mental problems and how low their values and morals are to be engaged in things like this.
Looking at younger and younger beautiful women, as long as it's legal, isn't a mental problem. It's nature. Like, men look at young, fertile women. I'm sorry, we look less and less at older women whose eggs have dried up. It's biology. Yeah. I'm sorry if it offends you.
I think that's what a lot of those women lash out at, especially on all those podcasts and stuff.
Most women wouldn't look at me, like, because of my age. You know, they'd look at someone maybe like me who was in his 20s. Same with you. Like, I'm sorry, biology, you get older. You're more and more invisible as you get older. It sucks, but throwing around shaming words doesn't change what people will go out with, and they're not going to ask you out. When you're that age, or if you look a certain way, if you're not attractive, if you've got kids, you just kind of, your chances are harder and harder. And I wish the world was fair and everyone was nice, but sorry, you just can't shame people into, like you said, something that's just a bit annoying or icky for you.
Yeah, I think Luke makes a good point. The idea that men have mental issues for being attracted to young, beautiful women is absolute BS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like saying, it's like ignoring that the sky is blue. It's like getting offended that the sky is blue while everyone knows the sky is blue. Like, that's what that is.
Yeah, I've said this to you. Like, one reason I kind of moved away from the manosphere is that I can't talk objectively about things. Like, they'll talk about the unfairness of, like, say a woman does something to a man. And the moment you say, well, yeah, like, but I screwed up because I yelled at her and stuff. Yeah, but that's fine because women, it's like, you have to be able to talk about things in 3 dimensions. you know, in a balanced, realistic way out there. It can't just be, I'm perfect, my side, everything I believe in is pure and great, and everyone else is evil and terrible and horrible. And it's this just very convenient black and white way of viewing things. And this kind of wording is very kind of religious to me. It's kind of very black and white, and it doesn't see the nuances and fairness of life. Like, men and women are different. We process things differently. But when it comes to morals, what's right and wrong, it's pretty much fair. You know? If a woman finds a man attractive, you don't kind of get annoyed at her because you find women attractive. You know, if a person's not doing anything illegal, they're just looking at the best looking legal women that he can look at, that's fine. You're just annoyed that you're 10, 20, 30 years older and you're not part of that club anymore. And you look odd. Guys and girls, divorcees that put on their leather pants again and go to a club, they look like weird, like guys look weird. They look like sleaze bags. Women just look like they're easy lays. They're desperate. I'm sorry, that's just what the people who belong there, the majority of young, more attractive people. I remember when I used to go out in my 20s and I'd see like an older woman or get hit on by an older woman. For me, it was fun. It wasn't like, oh, girlfriend, my future soulmate. It's just like, she's practice. I'm sorry, she's fun. You know, this is kind of a fantasy. And like, to think otherwise, I'm sorry. Sometimes you miss the boat. You got a bunch of kids. You're not as attractive. You're not their age anymore. Like when you're young, you've got, the world is at your feet. You're beautiful. You can do a lot of stuff. You can make mistakes. You know, and you're not there. The boat's passed. Now you're in a different part of life, and you can complain about it all you want, but that's, like you said, reality. The sky is blue.
Let's finish it. I will never accept the notion that women are responsible for men's bad behavior. We aren't responsible for someone else's actions. No, of course not. Everyone's responsible for their own actions. Yeah, so I agree with that. Yeah.
Next comment.
Women and men, they can play a role in why someone else is like pushed towards bad behavior, but that still makes them responsible for their own bad behavior.
Yeah, look, how you present yourself, what you say, how you dress, like you fish for certain things, you put yourself in situations, you also have to be responsible for some of it. You can't sort of say women or men, they just do whatever they want and then they're never at fault. It's the other person who needs to be more responsible.
I mean, like, if a woman, for example... If a woman like never gives it to a man anymore, right? Then if he cheats, it's still his fault. It's still his responsibility. He's cheating, but like you can't say that she had nothing to do with it. Like,
yeah, you can point out morally good and bad behavior. You can say, yeah, he should leave her, have a discussion. But if he's going to keep it secret and try and live a double life and cause like a train wreck of a marriage and whatever, then he's at fault for cheating and doing it behind his wife's back. But if one party can't understand them, they won't go to bed with them or anything, like I'll be like, I'm getting frustrated. I'm going to have sex. I want it to be with you, but if it's not going to be with you, I'm still going to have sex. So either we break up or work this out.
Yeah, I do think everyone should break up before they do anything, but yeah. Karu is calling you a fuckboy.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
You should have it backwards.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. I've only started wearing a cap recently because of the sun. Like my eyes are really getting affected by the sun in Australia. But yeah, I don't really like hats generally, but I just thought I was in a weird mood this morning. Okay, next comment.
Yeah, so I responded to this one kind of with what I said, what I discussed earlier already. And then she wrote a second response.
Yeah, what did you respond to this with?
Yeah, that was my response.
Did you go through all these points?
I'm hot. Um,
I think you did.
yeah, kind of.
All right. Next. Go ahead, read.
I appreciate the response, but if a grown man is looking and subscribed to those sites, and if they are following women that are old enough to be their daughters, then something's very wrong with those men. Disagree. It's biology. This has nothing to do with the unhappiness in marriage. That could be true. This has a lot to do with their psyche. A decent man won't be on those types of sites, period. I disagree. Whether he is happy or unhappy in marriage.
Well, you know, her definition of what a decent man is hers, and good luck to her finding that perfect gem of an old-fashioned guy.
Yeah, but see, this is subjective because some people think that if your man is on those sites, that's like wrong. It's like not decent, especially religious people, conservative people. I can understand that, so that's why I think it's subjective. I just disagree because I think that's just normal. It's just like a recreational thing that everyone does every once in a while.
The way I see it is, before you meet someone, if you've got a life where you do certain things that you enjoy, like you play sport, you go to these sites, and it's just harmless and you're just enjoying them for a release, right? And your partner comes in and says like, no, a decent person doesn't do that. You have to give up playing sport. You can't read those books. You can't hang out with your friends. Like,
yeah, that's different.
But you know what I mean? Like, at what, like, how much do you need to change a person? But also with this, it's like if it's, I don't know, if it's fantasy, if he's not acting on it, it's, as you said, it's more to do with their insecurities than objectively him actually cheating.
Yeah, but it is also completely subjective. And I do think that women have the right to not like it and to not be okay with that. There are women who just aren't okay with that. And then there are women who are. So, yeah, everyone has the right to feel the way they feel about men being on those sites.
Look, some people have midlife crises, like they have divorces, and in their 40s, they get back into the market. And you've got these old cougars that are dating young men and having fun as well. It's like they're young enough to be there, not just their sons, but their grandsons, some of them. Like, but it's still legal, like they're over 18, but they go out with young men. Men, for time immemorial, men have always gone after younger women. As long as it's not illegal, like, you don't like it, but it is what it is. And just shaming a guy, a decent man wouldn't be on those types of sites. Sure, but again, you don't have to go out with those men.
I do agree with what you said. Like, this has nothing to do with the unhappiness in marriage. That kind of got me thinking when she talked about that earlier also. Because that could actually be true. Because I do believe that there can be very happy marriages, obviously, where, like, people watch that kind of stuff sometimes. So, yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's stupid. It's, to me, it sort of speaks of a very fragile relationship between a man and a woman, that they're so worried about what someone looks at and thinks and fantasizes. They're such on shaky ground and on eggshells. Like, tell me I'm your world. You think I'm the most attractive woman in the world. I turn you on at a 10 all the time and no one's prettier than me.
Yeah, but I don't really have a problem with this part of our conversation. That's why I thought this was an interesting topic. Because I think this is completely subjective. So the way that she feels about what a decent man is and all of that stuff, that's fine. That's just her opinion. I feel differently about that. Mm-hmm. The only thing that I really disagree with is the thing that she said about like the P word stuff.
Yeah.
But the rest of it, that's just how she thinks about it, and people have different opinions about it, I think.
Luke says to VK, a friend, old enough to be their daughters is way too broad. I can cover any age. Secondly, those girls only exist because women are willingly providing the service. Yeah, exactly. Don't blame men for... They're providing a service for, again, not just men up to 25. Most of them get their money from older guys. Right? And a lot of these women are annoyed that these young women are becoming millionaires now. and they're young, and they're liked, and they're adored, and they're wanted, and they're independent, and they can buy mansions and Ferraris, and you're a single mum with a couple of kids, and no, like, you can't find. I'm not trying to shame, but same with me. I got older. Dating's more frustrating. You can't find anyone. You feel like this, like it's not fair. If I had the world that these young people had, I would have been banging a lot more chicks when I was younger with Tinder and everything available. I never had that when I was in my 20s. You know, but it is the way it is. Sorry. Time moves on. You get older. You can't enjoy these things. And you can try and shame people. But if I was growing up in this time, I would have faced my own mental problems, I'm sure, not being able to handle social media. But also, I would have had a lot of fun in 20s. And if you're in your 20s today with all of this, you're like, yeah, don't tell me what to do, grandpa, grandma. You're just jealous. I'm having a lot of fun that you can't have.
Yeah. It's kind of weird to put all that stuff out there and then be surprised when men like watching all that stuff. Like, you also need to look at the other side. Like, why are we putting out all that stuff and then we get offended when men actually watch?
Karu says, each time I hear the types of arguments that BKFM puts forward, I always get the impression that there's a lack of ability of appreciating beauty. Leave your jealousy to the side. Yeah, it's kind of like you're an old artist, a painter that doesn't paint anymore, or no one buys your work, and now you're criticizing young painters. It's like, the stuff you guys like, or movies now. Like, I don't like a lot of the movies that are on Netflix. They're built for a younger audience, right? Or streaming, or the entertainment. But I'm not going to want it taken away from people. Like, that's what people are into now. It's just not stuff for me anymore.
But it's also like, why don't young women get the same shit or judgment when they want to date rich older men?
Yeah.
Then it's like, go get the bag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
yeah,
it's not
but
fair.
that's the hypocrisy. She's go girl to be able to do whatever she wants and do OnlyFans. But he shouldn't be her customer. That makes her life possible.
Yeah.
They both work. They're both symbiotic. That you wouldn't know about her. You wouldn't talk about her. She wouldn't exist. She wouldn't do it without the men that you say is wrong feeding her.
Yeah, Luke says, corn only exists because women make it so.
There's a market for it. Men want to look at it, and women want to produce it. Women become celebrities. They get attention. They make money. They feel independent. You know, there's negative side effects, but when you're young and you get that power, it's like you win the lottery when you're beautiful and you're in your early 20s, and someone hands you, here you go, here's $1 million, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
Because no one's giving $1 million to a single mum in her 40s. At best, maybe that single mum will get 100,000 if she's really exceptional. But sorry, you're not going to get what the Instagram models, the young 20s, get.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. What else do we want to say? I'm kind of really just tagging along on this discussion because you had a lot to say about this.
You want to go into Karu's comments?
Which one?
The last one?
There's also a disconnect between the hedonic side of an individual and what's good relationship material. Yeah.
What does he mean by that?
Hedonic side is the pleasure-seeking side of somebody. You've heard of the hedonic treadmill, where people just online just doom scroll, like they're just hitting dopamine. Like, I
know what hedonic means, but disconnect between the hedonic side of an individual and what's good relationship material.
Yeah, it's like,
I don't get the two.
There's a difference between the two. There's a appreciation between either or. Like, you've got fantasy and you've got reality. And there's also, I think what he's saying is, there's good relationship material.
What does that mean?
Like, you know, you should be looking for good relationship material when we're talking about finding a partner, right? But then there's also when we're alone and like, what are you into? What are your fantasies? They can be two different things. So when you look for a partner, you should be looking for good relationship material. But if they've got their own little fantasy fetishes, that doesn't really a lot of times affect, like, your different points of view and your fantasies don't really affect the quality of our relationship.
No, but isn't there supposed to be a disconnect there? I mean, my fantasies need to be separate from reality.
Maybe he's acknowledging that there is a disconnect between the two, and it should be that way.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I read. There's also a disconnect between the hedonic side of an individual and what's good relationship material. Some people are just all hedonic and fantasy, and they don't really have much of a person that they show, and so they're always online in fantasy mode. But all of us have a fantasy side, an inner world, and then we have the, oh, well, no one's going to be exactly like me. I've just got to find someone compatible with me. We've got to be on the same page and think of the same values. So each person is a duality. You've got the person that relates to the world and knows how to behave, and then you've got the person who's got all their thoughts and stuff that goes on inside.
Yeah, but that's why I almost feel like everyone has a right to their own fantasies, and if they want to watch that kind of stuff sometimes, then they can. Because it is disconnected from reality. It's just something you do recreationally.
And I would, again, repeat, the more you talk to your partner and you're not afraid to let all this stuff out to make sure that you're compatible, then there's less of a disconnect. Your partner understands your fantasies and your inner worlds, and they understand that it doesn't really you don't get shocked. So you can bridge your inner world and your proper boyfriend, girlfriend, relationship world. The more you talk about, like, and you're honest about your weird, peculiar fantasies, then you get less of this.
You don't watch porn because you want to marry the girl on the screen. You do it because you want a certain type of release. Vicar fan assumes that she's getting cheated on when you watch that content. Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything to do with your partner. It's just like a fun thing, like a recreational thing.
And I think you've mentioned this a few times, that women automatically, they make it very personal. And I think in this sense, like, you don't in this topic, but there's a lot of times I'm talking generally about men and women, and you put up the guard because you automatically, as a woman, place yourself in that situation. And I think this is an example where she does it a lot when it comes to this topic. She places herself in there getting cheated on, like, by, maybe it's happened to her.
But in her defense, she also has that right. And that's why I say it's subjective. I might be okay with it, but she might not be. And that's her right, because everyone feels differently about men doing that kind of stuff. You know, like, for whatever reason, she's not okay with it and I am. We all have the right to feel about that the way we feel about it. So, yeah, it's just different for everyone.
Yeah, I think you find out people's insecurities like this, the more you talk and the more you're honest when you start dating them. When this stuff comes out, you find out that your partner flips out because you're watching something online, or you've got a shockingly different point of view or a different fantasy world, inner world, to your partner. That's maybe something you should have figured out early on.
Yeah, but I also don't think we should like, judge that in a negative way or whatever. Like, that's completely fine if someone feels like that about it.
Sure. Yeah. I'm not saying, like, she can feel any way she wants. She can have her standards. If her standard is any guy I'm with that looks at dirty stuff online, that's it. Red flag, deal breaker. All right. Okay, that's your standard. And don't keep getting annoyed when you keep breaking up with guys, because there's very, very guys who are puritanical or religious or very prim and proper that will be the perfect Ken doll that you want. You know?
Well, I think there are probably a lot of guys that don't really do that also. Like, a lot of guys do, but I also think there are a lot of guys that probably don't really do that often at all.
Yeah, but the older you are, the chance of you finding that guy is very, very slim. It's almost like you're expecting this guy to be locked up and a virgin in the closet and waiting for you after you're a single mum in her 40s, and now he's ready to, you know, be realistic. People your age, people you can get with your looks and the baggage you may or may not have in your life with kids or whatever, how you're living, you've got to be realistic, like what most people are like. Like, I acknowledge when I'm dating, like, I got to accept most women out there like shopping. Most women out there like certain romance and chocolates and flowers and stuff. I mean, you're slightly different, but you have to accept what the majority are like. Sorry. You have to accept as a woman, guys like watching dirty stuff online. We're much more perverted and like we're weird and we love that stuff. And
yeah, I would say as a woman, you have to accept that men are always going to find other women attractive as well. You can't do anything about that because that's just biology. I don't think you need to accept that your partner is watching that kind of stuff because you do have the right to say that you don't like it and you don't want that, for example. But you should discuss that in the beginning before you get into a relationship, probably, to see if you're a match, you know, because some people just aren't okay with that. And I do think that that's, of course, completely fine because it is subjective. You just need to find someone who thinks about it in the same way you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have any? I don't think we had any comments.
Yeah, we have 3.
I
feel weird with the screen over here.
Get used to it, babe. Where is? Oh, browser. YouTube. I think it's this one. Yes. Okay. Karu says, if your partner considers that looking at a girl whose name ends in .png is cheating, she probably has issues. Very smart. Very good.
Yeah, but this really depends on your type of relationship, you know? Because I can absolutely imagine a relationship where the guy is constantly looking at hot Instagram models. And she's not gonna like that, obviously. You know, I can completely imagine that. But in a different type of relationship, like ours, for example, I'm going to be looking over your shoulder probably. Like, you know, we have a different type of thing going on. So it really depends on your relationship.
But as well with me, I know if you see a guy in a Ferrari in a suit who's like got a full head of hair like George Clooney, looks handsome, you're going to be looking, oh, babe, like he's attractive. I'm not going to like, oh my God, you cheating bitch.
Yeah, like you know which actors I think look good.
Yeah.
Like it's like biology. You can't like ignore that people are attracted. There's a difference
between not trusting your partner enough to go, well, see ya.
Yeah. It's just weird when people just like ignore what is like reality.
Karu added a comment on the live stream. He says, a lot of women want to be someone's pinnacle of attraction when it comes to their partners. No, honey, there are girls out there with better bodies, personalities. You're just the best a guy can get, or maybe it was autocorrected, best girl a guy can get. Whatever. Yeah, it's true. It's like you said, people's insecurities. They don't want to admit how they're feeling, and so they flip it around and they say something else to shame the person. Like, no, you feel bad. No, you're feeling bad about not being as attractive. Don't turn it around and try and make them feel bad about liking what they like. You got no right to tell anyone what they like. You got a right to criticize them if they betray you or they lie to you or they cheat on you. But don't shame people for liking what they like. Yeah, just be very wary of those people that try and shame you for telling you that your natural desires are like, oh, disgusting.
You just need to talk about it.
That'll fix so many problems.
Like, I wonder how many women actually give the guy the chance to explain why he watches that stuff, what it does for him. You know?
A lot of guys walk on eggshells trying to explain it, and the woman's just there with their arms crossed tapping. Like, he's like, oh, well, it's nothing, babe. I'm just like, yeah. Like, if she's already wanting to get angry, like, there's no, an explanation looks like he's trying to get out of it. Guys just need to go, yeah, I like this. The end. Yeah, but you're a pervert. Whatever. I like it. I'm not cheating on you. This is what I like. I can't help what I like. I'm sorry. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, leave. Like, it's so stupid. Like, if you're going to apologize, what's next? Is it just going to be like, I can't believe you like chocolate milk. I can't believe you like, is it going to be so petty? Like, what's one step down from looking at dirty images? what movie, like that you like science fiction now, you got to stop watching science fiction because it's stupid.
No, that's different.
But you know what I mean? Like, how much do I have to stop doing what I naturally enjoy doing? That's got nothing to do with you. I'm not cheating on you. It doesn't have any bearing on me staying and treating you the same way. Your attitude will make me maybe want to leave you, but like it's not doing anything to us. It's stupid.
Yeah, obviously I do think if you're in a relationship with someone and they've got like a full-on addiction, like that's different. But if it's just recreationally, I think that's fine.
But again, like I think there were some good points that VK Efrain made in terms of like what is commonly said out there. A lot of people say this stuff. That she's not kind of I've never heard this before. A lot of people say this. Your partner's cheating if they do all this other stuff that's not even cheating.
Yeah, but it's subjective. I think it's subjective.
But it's not cheating.
Yeah, but for you. But that's what I mean. I think you can't say black and white.
Yeah.
Because she may experience that as though he's cheating on her. Maybe that is like very serious for her and she sees it like that.
Yeah. You know what? I was actually thinking there are some, you might not do anything, but if you're a very flirty social person and you're always like touchy-feely around your coworkers, but that's you, someone say, well, they're not cheating, but it's like, it's very, very touchy-feely. And it's...
Yeah, but I think people throw the word cheating around too often because there's also a thing as just being inappropriate. You're in a relationship, you're being inappropriate. You can use that word as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, but as I think the one thing that's objectively true is, you've mentioned it and I've mentioned it, is talk about everything. Your fears, your kinks, your perversions, laugh about them, get them all out in the open so your partner's not surprised. But if you keep things that you're really into, that you're passionate about, your hobbies, like your weird little things, your partner that you live with all the time, they're going to find out. And it's hard work keeping that hidden. Just let it all out and you'll be completely free. You'll enjoy your relationship. And if she or he can't accept things that you just enjoy before the other person was around, it's not cheating. You're not going to other people. And you talk about those things and everything's not a surprise, then that's fine.
Yeah, and if she's not okay with it, I mean, she can always leave.
Yeah, then make a decision.
Can cheating be non-sexual?
Boffin asks. Well, the flirting and like, yeah.
I do think, yeah, it's also subjective, I guess. But yeah, I would say that it can be non-sexual.
I think it's more inappropriate than cheating. So for instance, if you were like going out coffees with like male colleagues or friends and I couldn't come and you were flirting with them a lot.
Yeah, you could. I think this is still subjective, but I definitely think that would be a form of cheating. If I would be like talking to like a male colleague and I would be like flirting with him, all over him, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I would consider that like a form of cheating.
Technically it's not because you haven't crossed the line, but you're right on the edge and you love playing there and you're making your partner uncomfortable and you enjoy that kind of danger being on the edge.
Yeah,
right?
You're probably on the line.
Yeah, so for me it's your partner saying like, nah, don't do it. Like you're not cheating, but don't do it. I don't want you to do it. You continue to do it, it's going to cause problems. So technically, semantically, it's not cheating when you look in the dictionary, because cheating is technically, I think everyone can agree, is when you cross the line and you take action.
Well, why don't we actually Google cheating? Because I'm actually curious if that's like physical or if...
Yeah, but now the online dictionary includes so much random bullshit that's not really the definition.
Well, let's just see.
Okay.
What it says.
All right.
Also, can you put the screen back?
Yeah, actually.
So I don't have to... Yeah, thank you.
So you don't have to what, babe?
Look at a fucking white screen when I look at the screen.
All right. Cheating in a relationship. Definition. So this is an example. I don't care what the definition is. I know what cheating is to me. So.
Yeah, but see, it's subjective.
Let's ask AI.
In a relationship, cheating, also known as infidelity, is generally defined as a violation of a couple's emotional or sexual exclusivity, where one partner engages in romantic or sexual relationships with someone else outside the relationship without their partner's knowledge or consent. So yeah, according to AI, it can also be emotional. And I do agree with that, yeah. Because you can't tell me that if I'm like full on flirting with someone all the time, that's kind of also, it's like emotional cheating. That's kind of cheating as well. You think it's like just physical?
I think it's just as serious, but semantically, like we have to have definitions for words. You're not cheating on me. You're annoyingly flirting and you're disrespecting me. And
but don't you think there's like emotional cheating and physical cheating?
or maybe it's just me not wanting to stubbornly let go of like the word, like with the definitions of the past. But maybe
Now you're being like me.
Yeah, like
Focused on
I've had these arguments with Quaz as well.
Yeah.
About the word violence. I think it's actually just physical, but he thinks it can be more than that. And the more
violence is physical.
See, but I talk with him, I get where he's coming from, and so words expand. And let's not get into kind of the evolution of meaning of words and things like that. But I know what it means to me, and it's on the same level. Like if you're flirting but you're not doing anything, you're embarrassing us, disrespecting me, disrespecting the relationship, and you wouldn't like it being done to you. And it's causing a lot of problems between us. Yeah, maybe it's just semantic, but
it's subjective.
I like to have words very defined. Now that everything's kind of just very vague. You know, everyone's literally Hitler now. I literally died. It's like, yeah, literally means figuratively now as well, does it? Okay. All right. I'm being pedantic about things, but whatever. Terry Dean says, 20 years ago I had an ex that went nuts at me for liking illustrations by Jason Brooks, who did the Head Candy House music CD artwork. Yeah, I had an ex in my 20s as well. She discovered I had like illustrations, like comic illustrations of like naked women and sex scenarios and things. And she just looked at me and she broke down like she discovered like I was a serial killer or something. She's like, I can't believe who I'm going out with. Why did you keep this hidden for me? Like, I don't even know you anymore. And I'm like, you knew I drew, you knew I'm into art. And this is like a perverse thing I'm into. Like, I'm not going to showcase it. It's not really for public, but you found that. Isn't this an overreaction? And she kind of made me feel bad about it. But even then, I thought it was weird. Yeah. I didn't expect that reaction from her.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's more about the person.
Yeah.
Well, how far are we? We've been going for nearly an hour, babe.
Yeah.
You got anything else to say?
Yeah. I also think, can you move that? I also think watching stuff is like completely different from actually like when you do stuff like socially. Mm-hmm. You know, like flirting or actually physically cheating. That's like very different from just watching stuff.
Yeah. Let me put on my F-boy hat.
I also think there's a difference between men just watching sexy videos.
Someone's going to clip this.
And
sorry, go ahead, babe.
You need like a thingy on it. Like a
pom-pom?
No, like the helicopter thing.
No, I can do this. It has the same effect. And I'll roll the window down on my car and listen to Eminem. That'll have the same effect. I'll listen to rap and... No, come on. All right, what were you saying? I derailed you.
What was I saying?
While you're thinking of it, I'll read out Peg's. She says, likely, the question was, looking at hot people online, is it cheating? Peg says, likely not, although contextual to the reason, circumstances, or intent behind why one might be doing it. Art museums has portraits and sculptures of the human form. Benign observation, admiring the compositions of what they are, does not constitute cheating. People like to look at pleasant, pretty things of all kinds. Sometimes these things just happen to be attractive people. This awareness should not be automatically interpreted as bad, being unfaithful, or soon to be. Yes. Also, how much you trust your partner.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. You trust your partner, and it doesn't matter what they look at, it's not going to break your world.
Garu. Steph made me spit up my Big Mac with that comment. With what comment?
About me. About the propeller.
Yeah. What is that from? Why did that come up in
It's
my
an
head?
old image of cartoons where like the dumb kid with the propeller is an idiot. Like is an idiot. You called me an
Oh,
idiot?
I didn't know it was an idiot. I'm so warm. Why is it so warm? It's supposed to be cold today.
You're just trying to show off.
No, I'm not.
I'm joking.
If I wanted to show off, I could flash everyone, babe.
No.
And I doubt you would be okay with that.
No. Then you would be cheating with the whole world. Figuratively.
Yeah, it's 21 degrees.
Yeah, Armored Ghost says this. The girl says, I literally don't even know you anymore. I think he had the same experience with an ex that I did.
Armored Ghost, are you happy to see us again? Because he
Yeah.
missed us.
Yeah, he
That
made
was
us come
nice.
back. We've just been doing life, and I was going to do a stream last week, but now I'm not even looking to do another stream because I can't get the comments to come up on screen. It's just too hard work.
Really?
I'll figure it out. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You want to read the last comment underneath the post?
It depends on what kind of pictures and what kind of looking. Even if it isn't technically cheating, it may be the sign of trouble. Some resolvable, some not.
Look, yeah, obviously if your partner's sitting there getting off to dismembered bodies of whatever, certain things, it's kind of like, okay, this isn't someone I really thought I knew. But if it's just him looking at what everyone generally looks at, and you're just disappointed that your man or woman's not a special little unicorn that doesn't like what everyone in the human race likes, I think it's on you.
Yeah.
Peg says, really glad you're back.
Yeah, we didn't stream for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, she was actually excited today to come on.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic.
Yeah, last week we just kind of got busy and stuff. And this weekend we're kind of busy as well. But I'll try. I'll see if I've got time on Sunday. I might do a stream. Even if it's just casually. Because it's kind of easy to keep missing and being a perfectionist. Like, I haven't got a good enough topic. But then again, you just pick any topic. There's 100 things you and I talk about that I talk about with friends. You can just pick any one of them, use it as a jumping off point, and just start blabbing. All right. Anything else?
I think I've kind of said everything I wanted to say about this topic.
Yeah. Freaks indeed. Yeah, I think it's really important to, I can't stress this enough, to talk. Just enjoy. Like, the whole point is to let everything out with your partner. Let them know your sense of humor, your values, how you see the world politically. Hopefully you don't live your life politically, but like where you lean, left, right, and you're in the middle, what you would do in this situation. You talk about certain celebrities, you think you're on the same page with right and wrong, and you agree with each other generally. You can agree to disagree. And you tell each other your fears, you tell each other your weird perversions, you can laugh about them. You've got a sense of humor. I can make fun of you, you can make fun of me with my, It's like you can trust the person. But when I hear couples like, oh my God, he said this or he did this, who am I going out with? Who am I married to? It's like, you don't trust the person. Like, at the drop of a hat, if it can shatter your whole image, like you've never trusted this person at all. Anything that shocks you should make you laugh at least, or make you go, what the fuck? Not, oh my God, cheating. But But anyway, people can get with whoever they want.
Yeah.
All right. You want to end it?
Should we do some rapid fire?
Oh, okay. Did you find any?
We still have some left.
Okay. All right. Go for it, baby.
What's the funniest thing they've ever done? Oh my God.
Your dances are funny. When you do your little dances. When you're happy or...
Well, I know that you've really cracked me up sometimes, but I can't remember like what it was about. Like
it was a thing I'd say, like in the moment, like we're in the car and we're talking about something and I just come out.
Yeah.
Like this, like dismembered bodies, or I describe something in a very funny way.
I think it's sometimes also when you say something about certain people. It might crack me up.
Yeah, having a similar sense of humor can, helps you laugh and have funny moments. And again, incompatible couples that are calling everything cheating, they're not going to have funny moments, to bring it back to the topic. But for me, it's you when you do your funny dance and somehow when you pronounce words are funny because of your Dutch accent.
Like donut.
Donuts. Oh. The vowels in Dutch, when you speak in English, like those vowels come through. That's kind of cute.
Who was the one that wanted to learn Serbian and I told him to learn Dutch? Was that Luke? Or was it someone else?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Human finds... No.
Well, like you, Karu, depends on which dismembered bodies.
What?
We should be able to laugh at everything, shouldn't we?
I don't think you can laugh at everything, but...
Not like laugh out loud, but I don't know.
Yeah, there are things you can't laugh about, probably.
Yeah, I guess. Okay, now I'm just being a smart aleck, but...
Human finds certain comments about people funny.
Yes, I do. Karu's heard me driving and screaming at certain types of people on the road.
Oh, right, yeah.
Certain types of races and nationalities, which I won't mention. That everyone stereotypes, but anyway. Who's more likely to laugh in serious situations?
You.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's actually weird when we'll be having a discussion and I get very serious always. And then sometimes you're like smiling while you talk and I'm like, why are you smiling? Like,
yeah.
this is serious.
And then other bits where you should normally be fine with it, like you're very, like you're like a serial killer. Like, yeah. Sometimes like, well, yeah, it's funny. I think it's whenever it touches on something that you don't actually find that funny, and I just like go over the top. It's like fucking hell. Okay.
Yeah.
So probably me. I laugh at serious stuff. I don't find life that serious. I enjoy serious conversations. I can get serious about a lot of things you see, but I don't personally find them serious. You know, I don't get offended personally by people, but I will be serious about the topic. But a lot of people get offended by everything. I don't get offended by very much. I don't take a lot of stuff personally unless you actually make it personal and point your finger at me.
I can get way too serious when we're having a conversation sometimes, yeah. Like I need to remember that it actually doesn't matter and it's just a conversation. Sometimes you
hold on very tightly with the certainty of your opinion before when you get into a conversation, you already have a predefined, very certain black and white view of it and you defend it. I do, but yours is very strong. Whereas I get in with it with a bit of humor. But if you can convince me otherwise, I'll go, oh, yeah, you've got a point, and I can laugh about it. But it takes you a long time to kind of let go and see another person's point of view where you've got a very defined point of view.
I think it's not just that, but it's also that I'm always trying to make sense of the conversation. And sometimes when you look really weird now without the hat. This hat is so weird. Ooh, that looks really cool. Look at that. That looks awesome.
You looks like some singer on a rap video or like on some MTV music video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks really nice.
And now I look like the music
It's
producer.
big though, but
Sing, babe.
no.
Who's the early bird? That's easy.
You want it on? Or off?
Yeah. Who's the early bird?
I am for sure.
Yeah.
I 9 out of 10 times wake up early, or 8 out of 10 times I wake up early.
Well, today, what time did you get up? 6?
5, no, a bit before 6.
Yeah, 5 something. I usually get up pretty late, like 9, and on the weekends sometimes almost 10. But I'm trying to get better at that. I do get up early sometimes, but it's very rarely.
And I actually like it because then I can write in the morning.
This one's a good one. What's their favorite movie of all time?
Oh, the Tomorrow War, and what's the other one? The something with tomorrow as well. You like the one with Tom Cruise? Is that the Tomorrow War?
No, that's the other one with what's his face?
And yeah,
I like them now. I can habitually watch them over and over again. They're just fun. You know what they're like? The equivalent of you discovered a video now that you just keep watching it. It's funny over and over again. But my all-time favorite movie, if I have to pick one, is probably Gattaca and Revolver overall. But now the one that I just always go to, it's like junk food, is the Tomorrow War and
what's the other one called?
the Tom Cruise one, Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah. I really like Arrival, that science fiction movie. That's one of my favorites.
That's good too. Yeah.
And I really like Wrath of Man with Jason Statham. That's a really badass movie. I really like that one. And if I want to go a bit romantic, like Pride and Prejudice, it's kind of beautiful.
At first, when you told me that was your favorite movie when we met, I was surprised. But at the same time, not. Then when I got to know you more, you read a lot, you write. You're very precise with language. You're an English teacher. It's like, all right, that makes sense. Who takes longer in the shower?
I think you do, yeah. You do.
Yeah.
I'm quick.
What's one thing you'd take to a deserted island with them?
Phone and laptop. Oh, we won't have internet.
I was going to say you.
Yeah, but aren't we going together?
You mean like we go together and we each take one thing?
Yeah, okay. If I'm going alone, then obviously I'm going to take you.
See, autistic, literal, thing, not person. All right, thing. Which one thing? Probably a book, because if I can take one thing, I can take a pencil, but I've got nothing to draw on. So it'd probably be a book.
Well, it depends. If we can't know anything else about the island,
there's no internet service.
Shouldn't we take like a knife or a tool or something? Because it's gonna be like survival, right?
Good point.
We're gonna have to slash pigs and stuff to eat or whatever. I don't know.
Slash pigs. Boffin says I would take a pig.
Yeah, see? So we would have to take like a tool or something.
Yeah, but if you take a pig, it's only going to last you what? At best, it's going to go off. I was going to say it'll last you a month, but it won't really, because it'll go off in a couple of days.
You would need a knife or something, or like a hack thing.
If the deserted island was in the Arctic, like somewhere cold and frozen, yeah.
Oh, Luke likes Arrival. Yeah, that's really, that movie, it's like... It's really, the story is really good, but it's also really beautiful. And it's like the aliens are awesome and everything. It's a really good movie.
I like it because it doesn't tell you a lot. It shows you a lot. It's a very quiet film, and you figure out so much by just observing it. Yeah. There's not a lot of dialogue. That's why I'm not a big fan of those big disaster movies like, Independence Day. She loves them. But it's just too much going on. We
recently watched The Core, which is awesome, I think. And Dante Speak, that was a bit...
Yeah, I like them, but they're not ones that I go for. Arrival is really good. That one I've watched multiple times. I like watching focus movies about one person. You're following one person. Or like like The Wrath of Man is a good one. I love that because it's one person. But when it's a whole ensemble, I don't like the Marvel movies. I don't like where you think I would because I like comic books, but I don't like superhero shit. I'm not into a big cast of people, big cast of world-ending blockbuster stuff. It's kind of like, it's okay. But if it's going to be blockbuster, like, make it small.
Oh, also, a few of our favorite horror movies, like Mama is a really good one.
I like Mama and I like Smile.
Oh, Smile. Yeah, that was really good. Yeah.
Yep. So genre-wise, science fiction, I like Gattaca and...
What's Gattaca? I don't know that one.
We watched, I think we have.
Yeah?
That's kind of a science fiction drama. It's it's more about people. I like it. It's hard to describe, but anyway, there's a lot of really good messages about motivation and taking a chance and how far you'll go to get what you want. That's a lot of messages in Gattaca. Really good. I like it.
And we recently saw The Man in the Iron Mask. I've seen it a bunch of times, but he saw it for the first time.
Yeah, I've never watched it before.
That's really good.
And I was really impressed, especially with the actors like John Malkovich. He was awesome in the first. The lines he had at the start of the movie, they were like Oscar. I wonder if he won the Oscar for that. I'm not surprised if he did. Like, he had awesome lines. You've got to watch The Count of Monte Cristo because you'd like that. It's a similar kind of movie.
Yeah, we can watch it tonight, maybe.
Karu says Gattaca is a acquired taste. Most would find it boring. Yeah, I think I showed it to you, and you were like, "Yeah, it's nice, but it didn't really hit you."
Yeah, I can't remember. I don't know
We
which
should
one.
maybe I'm mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I made you watch it because it was.
I really liked that other old-fashioned one you showed me, the princess,
The Princess Bride.
Yeah, that was really fun. That actor, I really liked him.
Which one? The
main character, the man.
Chad. Yeah.
He was really funny. Yeah.
1950s version is great. Oh, you know which one is also good? Solaris. That's a really good one too.
I recognize the title. Have I seen it?
With George Clooney. Like, he goes into a space station and the planet affects them and then makes them hallucinate. They see dead people from their past and they don't want to leave the space station.
Oh, I don't know if I've seen that.
Yeah. Oh, should watch him. Makes me want to watch him. Anyway. Karu said something interesting. I've said this before. If a joke is not at someone else's expense, it's not funny. That's true. A joke is not a joke unless you're making fun of somebody. So everyone who's trying
not
to
necessarily, right?
name something that's a joke and they're not
I
making,
can tell a joke that's not at someone else's expense.
it's at the expense of people or someone else.
No?
Come on.
This is a really lame one, though. This is the only joke I ever tell.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
Two kernels of sand in the desert, and one says to the other, "Oh, I think we're being followed." That's not at anyone's expense.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm thinking of another one. What's brown and sticky?
Poop.
A stick.
Didn't see that one coming. Super obvious, but okay.
It's like dad jokes. Yeah, some dad jokes aren't actually at anyone's expense. But generally, like in terms of comedy.
You know what I find funny? When people make like a lame joke and then they explain the joke. That's even more funny than the joke itself.
I got to do that. Yeah, you're so literal with stuff. Like, she watches some stand-up comedy and she's like, yeah, I don't get it. And I'm like, this and this. Ah.
Yeah, I'm not super good with jokes.
No. All right, let's wrap this show up. I think people have things to do and places to be and people to do. Places,
People to do.
things to do and places to be. Sorry. Yep, that's right.
Why don't we have more? I should have looked up more questions.
Exactly. See, now we have to leave. Yeah, and we have to leave no matter what you say, babe.
I don't want to leave.
Bad luck. Say goodbye.
No.
I said say goodbye. All right.
Yeah, I find streaming really fun.
I thought you were going to say, I find goodbye sad.
That sounds so lame.
Yeah, I know. All right. We are going to go and enjoy the rest of the day. We're going to do a few things, though, aren't we? What are we doing? Stuff.
We don't have any plans today.
Yeah. I want to work on my book a little bit. And maybe pick a topic if I'm going to do a stream on Sunday.
Do viđenja.
Yeah.
Say goodbye in Serbian, Armored Ghost. Do viđenja
Yep.
means bye. And in Dutch, doei.
But if I say goedemiddag, that's just a greeting. It's not a goodbye, though. I can't say that for goodbye.
Yeah, no.
No, you can't.
No.
All right. All right. Actually, do we have any from last?
Yes, maybe we have more comments, babe. So we
No,
don't
there's no more comments, babe.
Maybe I'll put on a post later about if they would be interested in other topics, like other kind of streams.
Yeah, well, if you want to, like, Stephanie's, anyway, like, she's been thinking about, because sometimes, like, she's just got something she wants to talk about, and I said, like, you just put it on our channel, and you can just...
I've got stuff I want to talk about, like, different topics, but I don't necessarily want to start a whole other YouTube channel, because it's just going to be so time-consuming and stuff, and I don't know if I'm going to be consistent with it, so... I was thinking maybe to do like a stream here sometimes about like a bit of a different topic.
Yeah, if you want.
Yeah, I don't know, because we always talk about like relationships and stuff, so I don't know. I might put up a question later or something.
Brainstorm. Yeah, what I found even with my other channel is people don't so much care like what you talk about as long as you show up and hang out and have a conversation with people, you know. And really, I don't think either of us want to be like an authority on a topic. We want to just have conversations about topics and...
Oh, no, not like me telling them stuff or teaching stuff or whatever. Just like to share stuff.
Yeah.
About topics, yeah.
Anyway, have a think about it. Later, everyone. Thanks for showing up, all the regulars, and we'll probably see you next week. All right. Goodbye.
Bye.